Gallery.
Is that better?
Yeah, yeah, good. All right, I like it. Grayson, you're good?
Yeah.
Close titty sprinkle. 1, 2, 3. Keith, you're up.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first installment of the Cut Up. This is Chief Keith here. Also alongside my partners in crime, Ali and Grayson. Say what up to the people.
What's up, y'all?
What up?
So let's get started here. First installment. Here to bring you all the different NFL news going on. Definitely have some hot takes here, game recaps, sleeper picks of the week and such. First installment, as I said, definitely trying to get the hang of the things here. But, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So first on the docket, we're getting into this past week. It was a week 8, I believe.
Week 8.
So with this one, we like to recap our teams here. I happen to be the resident Giants fan. So I'm going to start off recapping this week. We head to Seattle, the 12th man over there. We go to visit the Seattle Seahawks. They're coming into the week at that point at 4-3. My Giants came into the week at 6-1. End up falling short. Score of that one was 27-13. Low points that I say as far as the game. Offense really just couldn't get it clicking. Definitely had some injuries out. Daniel Bellinger, Evan Neal's out. Probably going to be out for a month or so. Off to another slow start in the first half. Saquon doesn't really get kicking off till the second half. Towards the end of the stretch of the fourth quarter, key fumbles, 2 by Richie James on the punt return. Defense able to get a stop, followed by the fumble by Richie James, in which that's pretty much a backbreaker turnover in that. And, Seattle gets the ball, is able to drive the field, ends things out there. All in all, recapping this game, I think for us, deficiencies finally caught up with us. It's been a pretty slow start with our offense all season long. A lot of close games we play. And I think this year, this week, deficiencies just caught up. Definitely shout out to Geno Smith. Definitely doing his thing. Should be in the MVP talks. Definitely playing well. Tyler Lockett. Big mistake there, but you saw the leadership from Geno Smith coming to the sideline and talking to Tyler Lockett, letting him know we're still in this thing. He comes back to him. My surprise of the game, I just knew DK Metcalf was going to be out for the week. Apparently not. He ended up playing there. But like I said, overall, I just think our deficiencies caught up with us. Don't really have any threats on the outside offense. Couldn't really get it going. Luckily, I'll take 6-2 going into the bye week for sure. I'll take that any day, every day of the week. Definitely as we go into this bye week, hopefully these next 2 weeks we get some guys back healthy, take this time off. Not Danny's best game, but nevertheless, I'll take the 6-2. But that was a recap for the Seahawks and the Giants. Now moving over to Grayson.
I'm Grayson. I'm a big Redskin fan. And
Commanders.
Commanders, I'm sorry. I still can't get used to it. I think we lucked out once again where we played. I feel like we played a good game against the Packers. Well, a good second half of the Packers, but I feel like we got completely lucky against the Colts. Thank God for Terry McLaurin. That's all I have to say.
Harry's Harry.
I don't know how he stole the ball away from Stephon Gilmore at the end of the game.
Fucking Howard.
Exactly, bro. It's like Stephon Gilmore. That's one of the best corners in the league, and they just made him look like a rookie, bro.
I loved it. He went up. He ripped that out. He came down with it, ripped it out, and said, this is my city. He was running up and down the field yelling, this is my city. As a former receiver, I love that shit. He is not the biggest guy, but Scary Terry ripped it out. I loved it.
So Ali is a fellow Commander fan as well, not as big as me, but that's his team if I had to put him on it. The one thing I would say is I would like to see Taylor Heineke use his mobility during the game instead of at the very end. Like, I don't know what the fuck that offensive game plan was. It sounds like they were playing extremely conservative until the last 2 drives of that game. So
Grayson, how'd Brian Robinson do this one?
Gibson absolutely looked a lot better.
Gibson did. Okay.
All I know is Heineke.
Now,
and then with the emergence of Robinson, they're actually using Gibson more of a wide receiver / running back. So I like that they're actually utilizing Gibson's Memphis background, because at Memphis he was a wide receiver. So like in a way the emergence of Robinson has helped us better utilizing Gibson.
mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yeah. Ali, what you got on this one?
Look, all right. So first of all, I just have to make this record clear. I unfortunately am a Commanders fan, but at the same time, I'm Rob Lowe. I'm an NFL fan. A couple years ago, I jumped ship when Baker got drafted to the Browns. I said, "In Baker, I trust."
Oh God,
that man duped me.
Yeah, go back to the Commanders.
I had to go back to the Commanders. Oh, this is terrible. What? Oh, we need more Zoom. All right, I got to upgrade Zoom. We got this. We're upgrading Zoom, boys. It just got real. Oh man. But other than that, Taylor Heineke, I think he's a ballsy guy. He makes plays out of nowhere. Guys trust him. He's a leader. He's won a bunch of games. And why did you bring Wentz in? Why did you might have a couple more wins on the season if you started this year off with Taylor. He takes a lot of risks like a gunslinger does. But at the end of the day,
but so does Carson Wentz, and Taylor Heineke is cheaper.
It's way cheaper. Me and Grayson talked about it all season. Once Wentz came in, we had some hope. That first game, we had some great hope, and then week 2, Carson Wentz showed up as Carson Wentz, and there's a reason why he's on his 3rd team and going to be on the streets come this offseason. I hope.
The only other thing I would say about this game is the defense is starting to play a little bit better, especially Jonathan Allen, and they're creating a lot of average in the backfield.
When does Chase come back?
He actually started 21 days today, so he has 21 days to come back. He started his period today.
True. Fair enough. Okay, so fellas, as far as the week goes, were there other, besides our own games, were there other any interesting games that you guys saw this weekend?
The Raiders are garbage.
Oh, the Raiders are trash.
That was the one I was gonna go to. I was gonna go to that one. I was like, God, dear God, they lost to the Saints, and the Saints have like 6 quarterbacks.
Yeah, the Saints boo-boo butt cakes, and they
didn't lose. They got shut out.
They beat the bricks off those boys.
I don't know what's going on over there, but if they want to give up Devontae Adams, I'm more than willing. Yeah, I'll take your wallet.
Hey, Rod, I'm so sorry.
It's weird though, because it's like if you look at them, it's like, yeah, maybe, but at the same time, I mean, Green Bay. Well, I'd rather be on Green Bay at this point than the Raiders. I don't know what's going on over there.
Hey, Rod, you need a receiver? I can play in the slot. I ain't fast. Shit, I'm slow as hell.
Going to a subject that we're gonna do. Basically like our not necessarily hot takes, but our questions of the week. First off, let's start with Ali's question. Go ahead, let's shoot it.
All right, so my question of the week is really it's pretty simple. It might be a little controversial even. Why didn't the teams that needed a piece to get them back on track for this season go after one? Packers, why do you hate A-Rod?
So essentially, we're looking at Packers. We're looking
Your
at
Giants.
the Giants. We're looking at the Cowboys.
And you guys are just screwed because you have that giant contract for a guy that's sitting on the bench, not doing nothing.
And see, this is the thing. So I'll dive into that answer. At least far as my Giants go, cap situation. I'm really liking what Joe Shane is doing. Like just sticking to the plan. Like we're gonna clear out a bunch of the cap going in. We're not. If it makes sense, then that's what we're gonna do. He's recently been coming out speaking about it. There were a couple guys that we were interested in. Brandon Cooks, Jerry Judy, which came off the table. Rumor was they were looking for like a second for Jerry Judy. It's too rich for our blood. We need the draft capital, especially going into next year, because we still got some guys on the book. Nate Solder still paying off that contract that's on the books.
Gettleman really screwed you guys.
Mm-hmm. So we'll have to really figure that out. We'll have to do with the Kenny Golladay situation, but I think we go next year and the third or fourth highest in the cap, but it's still only like I want to say maybe 60 to 70, and that's not including what you're going to have to pay for Saquon and Danny if you consider re-signing them. So I like the move. If it makes sense, then you go for it. But at least as far as with the Giants, Brandon Cooks price tag to me way too high. You have to take that into next year. I think he's about 29, and he's never really been consistent like on a certain team. So like you're not gonna want to lock him up. Maybe we see the Odell coming back to New York. But
do you really see Odell wanting to come back and play with Danny Dimes?
I could see that because I could see him wanting to come back to New York because he has a Super Bowl already. And it does good for the market. Yeah, I can see that. It comes good for that and for the market. And then you look at the other teams that's like asking for him, like you can kind of see it more on the contender base, but I think it's honestly going to come down to like what's going to be his asking price. Because I mean, first you got to see if you got to wait till he's healthy before anything, and then you got to see. I think he's kind of going to be looking for a multiple year deal, so you kind of got to pitch it there. Honestly, like I would rather at this point, if we find somebody, cool, but I'd rather just ride it out with the talent that we got. Then we go into the draft, maybe pick up one of these Ohio State kids. Or maybe the kid from Tennessee, pick up one of those guys in the draft. I'm cool with that. But
Hyatt.
Yeah, I like him.
That boy's gonna be a problem.
I like him a lot. Unfortunately,
so is Marvin Harrison.
Exactly. Yo. The only thing, unfortunately, is that he's a sophomore this year, so he's got another year before he's going to come out.
But you still have Smith and Jogba coming out.
Yeah, which, I mean, I think his stock is going to drop a little bit just because of the injury and whatnot. But you got him. You got the kid that transferred from Pitt to USC.
Addison. He's coming out this year?
I think he is. I think so. So you got him. You're a couple guys that you got there. So I think this draft though, it's gonna be big within the quarterback situation that they're gonna go up. But I'm hoping like you get more defensive guys. So like your Will Andersons. I like the kid from Ohio State that had a game breaker game this past weekend. The linebacker.
The one that got the scoop and score at the end.
Yeah, they got a couple guys coming out there. But it's gonna be a couple guys going in there. So I'll say that for the Giants. As far as the Packers, I think with them, it's also too depending on like what their situation is, because their cap isn't the greatest as well, too. Most of that cap money is tied up in Aaron Rodgers. So you could thank him, for that and being high strung there. Dallas, I don't really know why they didn't go for somebody. Apparently, the rumor is they're kind of like we're in the room with Brandon Cooks. I don't know how that's going to work out now, considering the trade deadline's already passed.
Apparently Brandon Cooks was pissed he didn't get dealt. Like, he was so pissed he didn't get
I mean,
dealt.
do you blame him? Why
I
the hell
don't
do you want to waste some good prime years playing for the
But you look at that. You look at
Texans?
Brandon Cooks. I mean, Cam Akers didn't get dealt, and he was trying to get him up out of there. I mean, it was a couple guys. I think asking price just was too crazy. What you guys think about those teams though? As far as them not asking for or not being able to find anything by 4 o'clock.
I think my favorite move was the Vikings going and trading a 2 for Hawkinson.
That was a good move. In division at that.
You're stealing him from inside the division, so you're just gonna lock up that. You're getting Captain Kirk another weapon. I mean, that's what 2 former first round wide receivers, Jalen Rieger. You have
Jefferson,
Thielen is an animal. Dalvin Cook's still there. Madison coming off the bench to relieve him. Irv Smith is supposed to be a lightning fast tight end.
Well, one of my co-workers.
I think he on the IR.
That's probably why they went after Hawkinson then.
Yeah, he's out for 4 to 6 weeks apparently, according to one of my friends.
Just enough time to come back for the playoffs and help them, have Captain Kirk throw a bunch of interceptions.
And if we're being honest, man, like, I don't really like the disrespect that they're getting. It's really because of Kirk, I guess. But like, if we look at some of the moves that they've made, okay, they go ahead and get Hawkinson in here with this to be for the trade deadline. But then let's also look, man, another in division move that they did in the offseason. Got Darius Smith, who's like leading the league in sacks. So they've been making some really good moves this year. Around first year coach Kevin O'Connell.
Pairing Za'Darius with Danielle Hunter, that's dirty for your pass rush, because that's 2 speed guys. Come on now.
And I would like to see it. I think Harrison Smith, he's got like maybe a couple good years left out of that window. So I would definitely like to see him like be on the team that's gonna make a run.
He's a bad man. He's a bumper back there.
Come on, I want your takes on. I personally think it's for police Chicago. If you're Chicago, how the fuck do you give up a second round pick for Chase Claypool? I mean,
what do you mean, man? Chase Claypool is a top 3 receiver.
My thing with this is like, when I look at what Chicago's done, it's like, it's kind of confusing because, like, all right, so we've already known they started moving pieces on the defense. First, Robert Quinn, he goes to Philly. Then you trade Roquan Smith to Ravens, which I think that was probably my favorite pickup at the trade deadline. That move I liked, and it's just weird because you give up a second round for Chase Claypool, who I think's like one-dimensional, and like, I mean, he okay on the deep ball, but like, in order to get him out on the deep ball, like, he's got to have time to throw the ball, and they don't really have a line. And like, honestly, they lead the league like in rushing, because like they literally like only throw the ball like 10 times a game. So like, I mean, I get like you're trying to, I don't know what they're doing to do for Justin Fields. Like, at this point, like, I just pray every week that Justin Fields makes it through the game. I'm not really sure like what is going on, because it just seems like Matt Eberflus, like, whatever system they have over there, they're not really building it to help him. It's just kind of like, yo, you need to learn the system. Otherwise, like, you're not going to succeed, because I feel like, especially when you look at the landscape of Ohio State quarterbacks, I think he can probably be the first one to succeed, but like, I don't think it's going to happen in Chicago. I really don't know. Like, they get him Chase Claypool. Hopefully it helps. I like Mooney, but at best he's like a wide receiver 3 posing as a 1. So like, I don't really know. Cole Kmet is essentially a left tackle playing tight end.
Yeah, they need more weapons.
What happened to him? Cole Kmet scored his first touchdown of the season in week 8 last week. Like, that was touchdown number 1, and he was like, ooh. Didn't he go in the second round last year?
Cole Kmet?
Yeah.
I think he did. I want to say he did. But I thought that was probably I like the Roquan Smith move. How do y'all feel about the moves for the Dolphins with Jeff
Geniuses.
Wilson and Bradley Chubb?
I think the picks that you got from that Trey Lance deal, you spin it into Tyreek, Jalen Waddle. So your offense is just vroom, and then you get an upcoming pass rusher. I mean, pass rush has become the position that you can play for 15 years now, if you figure it out. And I think Bradley Chubb has some good talent. He's learned and played with some good outside linebackers and pass rushers and Von Miller and learned from those kinds of guys. I think you pair him with Agba and I forget, you got Jalen Phillips down there, the first round pick out of Miami. I can't think of who else is on that deal. Oh, Christian Wilkinson, another former first round pick.
Yeah, from Clemson.
From Clemson.
Uh-huh.
That's pretty good D line to kind of get after to help Tua. I mean, really, I think it's all moves are get after Josh Allen in division, and then come playoff time, what do I do? What do I have to do to stop Pat Mahomes?
Well, they need to do something because that game against the Lions started out being a Madden NFL game.
Yeah, I think they are missing Xavier Howard though for sure.
And to Cole Kmet was a 2020 round 2 pick 43.
Okay. And last week was his fourth touchdown of the season. I mean, you can't have that if you're a second round pick. You just can't do that.
No, but also I think their offense, like it stinks.
You can't protect Justin Fields, and then on top of that, you expect your ground game to kind of make it happen.
I do want to get into another thing about the trade deadline. I think I talked about this with you, Ali. Ravens acquiring Robert Quinn. I know this is his last year on his deal.
The Eagles?
Yeah, the Eagles got Robert.
Or you mean
they got Roquan? I thought they re-signed him. No, I thought he got re-signed in Chicago, like got a new deal.
Nah.
Yeah, but what does this do this off season when it comes to Lamar Jackson? That's what I really want to get at.
I don't know why. I don't think that deal really plays too much into it. Yeah, you're gonna have to pay Roquan, as he is one of the top 10 middle linebackers in the league and one of the young guys.
So for Roquan, it was a bit because that did come up at one point. He was in negotiations for trying to get an extension, but it fell through. So he was trying to hold out. He just stopped holding out. And so I think he's going to be a legit, free agent come this offseason. I think he'll get re-signed in Baltimore. I don't see why. I think it kind of helps them because it's weird because, you look at the AFC North. I mean, nobody's really looking at Pittsburgh, but you got them and the Bengals. I didn't, for whatever reason, to be, especially seeing in the media, I guess losing Jamar Chase is like that big of an issue, which I didn't think it was, considering you had 2 other 1,000-yard receivers. But apparently, that's, I know what he brings to the team, but I didn't think it was going to be that big. As soon as he goes out.
I mean, he's half your offense when you got, you just fuck it. He's down there.
I was stunned that Monday night game was that big of a one-sided game. I was completely stunned by that.
And that last touchdown didn't really make it that much better.
Yeah.
They had a random stat on that game. Joe Burrow has never beat the Cleveland Browns.
Yep.
Okay.
And because do they play again? I think they do. But by then, because Deshaun's coming back like week 11, I want to say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they did say that Deshaun is going to start when he comes back. So Jacoby Brissett, where are you going next year, bud?
I think it's at this point it's kind of, I don't know, man. I think at this point it's kind of up to Baltimore really to run the table to try to get out in front, at least before Deshaun comes back, because I think it's kind of gonna be a lock in there. Maybe they can get in. It's gonna be weird because if they're going to get in two teams, because you're probably going to see two teams come from the AFC West, I guess you would see, the Chiefs, and then, you may only see one team.
Yeah, I think only one team's going to come out of the West.
Yeah, because I don't see the Chargers making the playoffs, honestly. I don't see them making the playoffs. Like, you're going to get the Bills. I think the Jets will try to get in there, and you got the Dolphins. So you could get two or three, and then everybody else, just the division leader.
Two is definitely coming out of the East for certain.
Oh yeah, 100%.
We all thought it was going to be three coming out of the West.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't see that, but I think that goes as far as like what happened with the trade deadline. Similar to the trade deadline, let's go ahead and get into Grayson's question. What you got for us?
Okay, through 8 weeks of the season, is it too premature? Is like a team regretting a specific move they made during the off season? Like, damn, why the fuck did we do that?
Well, I think we know the number one. I think we know that one. That is very well established. Over there in Broncos country.
Let's ride. Hey, look, man, they took a flight and he was doing high knees in the aisles. Can we just talk about that for a second? Just the amount of times people have flamed this guy for just kind of being a robot, and like
so annoying.
Some of the things he does is, I don't want to call it lame, but like
it is. It's super lame. Annoying. It's super annoying.
So, guys, what is it like? Like, is it Nathaniel Hackett? Is it Russell Wilson? Or was it Pete Carroll elevated Russell Wilson? Like, Pete Carroll made Russell Wilson more than what he was. Like, what do you think is going on here?
So when I look at this situation, right, and we look at Russell Wilson, we can start it back in Seattle, Legion of Boom days. We knew what was getting to the Super Bowls, winning the Super Bowl that they did. We knew what it was. And it's crazy because in the back of my mind, I've always said, like, Pete Carroll has been behind some of the shiestiest shit, like, to go down in football. But because, like, his team is, like, winning on the other side, you kind of, like, overlook it. So, like, we could start it back from Pete Carroll days at USC, how he built USC. Then he left, and they had all those sanctions with the scholarships. But nobody cared because he went to Seattle, and then they started getting better with Pete Carroll there. The same way with, like, after, they build their team, Legion of Boom, get to the Super Bowl, win. We knew the pieces that were in place that helped them get to that Super Bowl. And we saw it from the second Super Bowl where, essentially he told them, like, okay, Russell's going to be the reason that we move forward. You see pieces start to go. Unfortunately, Cam Chancellor had to retire early. Earl Thomas gets moved out. As such, guys just start disappearing off of that. Eventually, it's Richard Sherman's time to leave there. And then we kind of saw it from Seattle, even after, it became apparent Russell Wilson's going to be the guy to lead into the future. They played really good, just good enough to get to the first round and get knocked off, some years in between there. And it was weird because, especially we heard last year, despite, he had the hand injury that was out for a while, but then the year before that, like, he gets off to a hot start in the MVP candidacy and everything running. Then all of a sudden you get to the second half of the year and they start stinking. And now all of a sudden, it's the offensive coordinator's fault. They need to fire this guy. And everything that. And Pete Carroll plays a big culmination in this, and he knew what was up the whole time. Like, I think at this point, like, and I think Russell's probably a really nice guy, but like they've kind of built it up to his head, and I think he's starting to believe it. Like he's better than like what he actually is. And it's kind of showing he's not really much of a leader. Like when you had guys in there like Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor, those guys to lead in the locker room, like Russ really didn't have to do it. You had guys like Marshawn that people follow behind. Even the younger guys from then on, Tyler Lockett's, those dudes that people follow behind. He didn't have to do much. So I think he kind of got big headed in a sense. And we're seeing that here in Denver. They stink. He stinks. It's all bad. First year head coach. I automatically think like Russell Wilson has too much power. And I mean, you could tell it by the contract. Like he doesn't even really consider the dude a coach. He considers him a partner. Like this is a partnership, apparently. So like I feel like he's got a shovel in the blame. And it's unfortunate because I really do think they have a Super Bowl contending defense. Or at least they did before before they started letting pieces go. Like I think Pat Surtain is the next like up there cornerback, alongside with, now this year we're getting Sauce, but like, we saw the emergence of Jalen Ramsey. I think Pat Surtain is making his way up there. They got guys, Justin Simmons, like it's some guys, it's some pieces over there, but unfortunately they're going to get wasted. Just like, the Khalil Mack led Chicago Bears defense is going to get wasted. Like that got wasted there. Denver's defense is going to get wasted as long as Russell Wilson's there. At least that's what I take from it. What y'all guys think though?
So I'm gonna. I think in the offseason I was a believer in Russell taking Bronco Nation on a ride. Right. I was like, all right, he's a dynamic quarterback. He's got a good arm. He's pretty accurate. He's mobile. He's won games. He's been to the playoffs. He's been to a Super Bowl. But now that like we're seeing it and thinking about it, the Legion of Boom, that defense, and Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah.
He is a game manager. He is 100% a game manager as a quarterback. And they expected and gave him a contract of a Pat Mahomes, go out there, throw it 50 times a game, and you're going to win the game for us. Yeah, they had the offensive pieces to do that, but that's not his game. So that's why he needs to adjust. Nathaniel Hackett needs to adjust. He's definitely made some terrible play calls and situation decisions. So that definitely plays into some things. But Pete Carroll, let's talk about what he's doing with Geno. Yeah, it's a lot that has to do with Geno, but like he said, all right, I'm going to make Drew Lock and Geno work. He didn't go out and spend a crap ton of money to get the players. Get a quarterback like the Commanders did. He got the pieces and let Geno play.
He's the opposite of fucking Dix. Like he's surviving this season, but the Seahawks are set up really fucking well. They're gonna build this team through the draft. Like I think they got the better end of this.
And you look at the pieces they did, like in the offseason, man. Charles Cross, Kenneth Walker, like they're building that line to run it back. Yeah, like they got the pieces.
And what did they have? 2 first-round picks for the next 3 years or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
They made moves, so we'll see how that plays out. But clearly, Denver, that is a shit show.
But if you look at it, right, like you were saying, Grayson, you look at Seattle, they got those picks coming. And then let's look at the rest of the division here. They're top of the NFC West. You look at what Arizona's pretty much given up to get some of their pieces. They've given up.
Well, Arizona also, they're going to that part of the season where Kyler Murray is more focused on Modern Warfare.
Yeah, Cliff Kingsbury's he's got a gear max. They just giving up the draft picks, the stupid draft pick they sold like for Marquise Brown, who's out now, and then you look at the Rams don't have any picks until 2055. So it's over for the Rams right now. And then because I was telling one of our friends, who's a Rams fan, it's unfortunate, but then it's not, because they were able to cash out last year and get the Super Bowl, and that's essentially what you want to do. But you look at it moving into the future, their problem right now is offensive line, and it's kind of hard for them, wherever they may sit within the draft, it's going to be hard to kind of address that now. And it's at some point, I think Aaron Donald's kind of going to be a year to year. He doesn't know if he retires or not. And you might have to consider moving on, trying to.
I think he's done after this year. I think they make a run and he's like, all right, I'm good.
Yeah, but your pieces though, eventually to get at least, be somewhat of a decent team, in the future, you may have to consider trading away some of those pieces. You look at them doing that. We spoke on Arizona. 49ers right now are in win mode. I say this, man, and not really to get off a topic, I think Kyle Shanahan has caught some of the luckiest breaks, because some of the moves that they have made, any other people would get fired for, how they run through the stable of running backs, how they've pretty much fleeced all those first round picks for Trey Lance. And the only thing is really saving them is that they're winning games and making the playoffs. Otherwise, anybody else would get fired for those.
Jimmy.
Yes, because let's face it, Trey Lance is not going to be that guy. I think that's over with.
He's not going to be the next Josh Allen.
No, it's gonna be over with. They got talent on the defense and such, but as far as draft capital blowing up, they're doing the same thing, trying to get into win now mode.
I think with everything that you give up for C-Mac, they probably already don't believe in Trey Lance. I think they're gonna try to restructure Jimmy, move Trey, and now you have two weapons in Debo and C-Mac. That you're like, all right, cool, let's do. You guys stop me.
But the thing is, since he got injured this year, there's no tape on Trey Lance. So what team is gonna say, okay, we're willing to give up significant capital to get him? Because
there's no tape on him.
There's no tape on the guy.
Mm-hmm. So
somebody's
you're kind of
like his potential.
He's gonna sit his ass there just like Jordan Love. So it's not gonna be anything sitting there. If we're looking at all season regrets, man, how do you think the day? It's weird because we could pivot this two ways. You could look at the Davis family with the Raiders. How do they feel about the Josh McDaniels situation there? Or we could take this back to Washington, Carson Wentz. I mean, which way?
Carson Wentz was a mistake. I mean, I get what one, and I'm probably too kind to automobile. For the longest time, I'm in on me bust. But for the last, I would say, when they started 1-4 was the first time I'm okay, fuck it. No more in-lawn bust. We gotta get someone else. But I get what he was trying to do. If that defense plays like it is right now, if you had a Jimmy G type of quarterback, you could probably make a decent size. You could probably make a good one in the playoffs. But if this happens that Carson Wentz isn't that guy, I mean, I did not expect it to be this bad. I mean, for Pete's sake, he threw 27 touchdowns, 7 picks last year. So I thought we would get somewhat quality play from him. I thought he would play better than Heineken, so that's why I was optimistic about it. He looked immobile. When the pocket collapses, he either goes down or hesitates and throws it back.
Yeah, that offensive line isn't helping him.
Yeah, he's like a grown Zach Wilson. Like I just don't understand. Like like you said, offensive line doesn't help as much, but like he's like a human torpedo. He's just like bound to like hit the dirt, do some ridiculous play to try to extend the play. I mean,
I mean,
I don't know. For y'all's sake, I hope this is wrong last year. Jesus Christ.
It doesn't get much better until Dan Snyder sells a team, which
I think so too.
praise
Yeah.
Jesus. There's some answers, some prayers of Grayson have been answered. Daniel Snyder has officially hired the Bank of America team to kind of look into selling his team. So Jeff Bezos, if you're listening, go ahead, move the team. Go ahead, buy up a big plot of land in Loudoun County. Let's go ahead, build a stadium out there. I'm moving home, so I'm looking for it. I'll become a Commanders fan, and you can go ahead and change it to the Washington Amazonians for all I give a damn.
I feel like I definitely want to put that topic for a whole pod, because I know Grayson has a lot to say definitely on that topic. I definitely want to gather our thoughts on that one.
Before we go on,
I had my one question.
I don't think we've hit on the biggest regret. And I think the biggest regret was NSC getting rid of AJ Brown. I think that's the biggest regret out of the entire league right now.
You think that's bigger than Russell Wilson?
I think what Russell Wilson, I think AJ is not as big as Russell Wilson simply because of Tannehill, right? Yeah. You're running the ball and you're matching it with Derrick Henry for 70%
he just had
of
2
the game.
tutties and 200 yards, I think.
Yeah, but and like AJ Brown he's a man. Let's not be, when he came down on that third touchdown in the first half and pointed at the 2 defenders, I lost my mind. Like he's literally telling you, y'all can't stop me. Go ahead, bring out more people. Because Swole Batman is coming down with the ball. He's scoring a touchdown, and y'all can get gone.
I mean, but even if you're in it or now, Malik Willis is your future. So kind of like Jalen Hurts, you want to surround him with as much talent as possible. So if I'm a GM, I want AJ Brown when Malik Willis takes over this team. Because let's be honest, NL is not the answer in Tennessee.
Not a long term, but I think too that's why you get a Malik Willis for sure. And it looks like we're gonna get to see Malik Willis come out this week, I believe. So we'll get.
He did play last week.
He did.
I think they only limited him to like 10 passing attempts. Put the ball more in Derrick Henry's hand, which if you have a rookie quarterback, especially one that's coming from Liberty, which didn't have SEC competition or anything, but this guy is more potential than a refined passer. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna take the ball out of his hands as much as possible. Give him some limited passes. Let's try to use Treylon Burks, the guy that we traded
to replace
him. That we got out of the AJ Brown deal to replace him, which is a cheaper deal. So like on that part, I think it was smart by Rabel and the front office team of the Titans to not pay the $100 million deal, even though AJ Brown is worth it. But you got a solid receiver who potentially is going to make some big strides and grow with Malik Willis.
But isn't he not playing right now? Like, isn't he on the injured list?
He might be, but so is everybody at this point. Everybody's constantly on and off.
AJ Brown at points too.
Exactly. So, I think it was a big deal. I think it's just better for the Eagles because they won out of that deal. They said let's surround our guy with weapons, and Jalen Hurts has done nothing but exceed as a leader, like he did when he was at Alabama, like he did when he was at Oklahoma, and he's doing it again. And they're winning games, and they're very likely going to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. They're probably going to play the Vikings in the NFC Championship game.
They are doing a great job surrounding a young quarterback with the most weapons that he can possibly have. Like Goddard's one of the better tight ends in the league. A.J. Brown's a legit number one, and who's the other guy?
You got Quez Watkins. You
Devontae
have
Smith.
Devontae, another top
yeah.
six.
Dallas Goedert.
So like Howie Roseman is doing a great job.
GM of the year.
Surrounding Jalen Hurts with as many weapons as possible.
And not even just the offense, man. Look at the defense. I mean, you got Fletcher, Hassan, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox. You get Robert Quinn in there. You got Jordan Davis out of there and Kobe Dean. You got the best, I think, cornerback tandem in Slay and James Bradbury. Like,
and then before the season started, they got Sauce Gardner.
No, they got Chauncey Gardner.
I mean Chauncey Gardner, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. They made some really smart moves, but yeah. That's trades. That's trading places, right?
But
what do you got for us?
So going into what we got last on the docket. Last question that we got here, I wanted to pose a question to you guys, something I've been like drawing up for a little while now, and I want to say, like, how do we evaluate how can I pose this one here, because I want to say I have it written here. So I want to say, how do we evaluate quarterback success? Typically, we know when it comes to everybody else, all the positions, kind of individual stats and such, or, we say it's a team game here, but how do we evaluate quarterback success, whether it be playoff appearances, Super Bowl wins? And I bring this up to say, because, case in point, example I've been using, Justin Herbert. Prodigy coming up, definitely broke some records and everything, missed the playoffs last year, trending kind of maybe to miss the playoffs this year, but going into the season, I already presumed tier 1 top 5 quarterback, not really proven anything as of now. So I'm just wondering, like, okay, what do we do to really to define quarterback success? And we've seen it from like even the greats. Like, I mean, you have Aaron Rodgers, who's in the league of his own, Pat Mahomes, who's a clone of that. We see the emergence of Josh Allen, but we've also seen, like, for example, we've seen the GOAT Tom Brady be a different kind of quarterback in different times throughout his career. We've seen him be the game manager. We've seen him be the quarterback to throw a record for touchdowns, such and such yards in this game and this season. We've seen him all different kind of facets. How are we defining the success for a quarterback? Is it okay if he's a game manager? Do you get the quarterback that you pay all the money to win you those games? How are we looking at that?
I think first and foremost, I mean, it's a results driven league. So can you win? And I know your point, especially we talked about it earlier this week with Justin Herbert. The guy hasn't won many games, but we talk about him being a top 5 quarterback, but he hasn't won any games.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, to me, you can have all the talent in the world, you can have a talented roster, but if you're not winning games, that doesn't mean anything. That means you're not going to get to the playoffs, you're not going to win the Super Bowls. And like, look at what Tom Brady had throughout most of his career. Up until that season they got Randy Moss in 2007. What
a lot of role players?
Who can you name players on his team?
Yeah, Deion Branch, Brown.
There's like nobody, basically. There's nobody that many players are gonna like.
Danny Amendola.
A fan of the game, you're gonna know those guys. But I think it's really weird now with how the game's played and how quickly players need to get in. You're drafting these quarterbacks super high. The Trevor Lawrence's
Come in on day one,
day one, and last year we saw he got wrecked.
Yeah.
Urban Meyer didn't help him any. Urban Meyer really screwed that kid up. But I mean, this season's going much better with a good quarterbacks coach who understands how to win in this league, not just win in college. So I think it comes down to wins. Comes down to wins first, and then how do you get your guys to respond when it comes down to it? Justin Herbert isn't winning those games, even though they are close.
I mean,
just like how Jared Goff isn't winning those close games in Detroit, and that's going to cost Dan Campbell his job.
I mean, okay, before we go on to other quarterbacks, like, how do you know, like, is it a Justin Herbert problem, or do they need to move on with the coach? Like, how do you know if you have the right quarterback and the wrong coach? Like, how do you make that determination?
I think that
fair point.
That is a fair point. I think that comes to, it starts with the record. If everything's not playing out, something's got to change. If your quarterback is just one guy, he has to direct the offense and get it down. But in a situation like New York last year, what did Danny Dimes do? Danny Dimes basically has the same cast around him this year, but they're winning games because the coach is different. He has a different philosophy and got the team to buy in to win. So, I think leadership is a big, big factor in these quarterbacks and, also in the coaches and how we win. But
which is why I pose that question. I mean, look at Daboll. Daboll is like, I still don't think Daniel Jones is a long-term answer, but Daboll is providing a difference, which is why I'm posing that question. Like, if you were a Chargers fan, would you move on from Auburn first or move on from the head coach?
Well, when I look at things like for instance, you brought up with New York, I think similar to Ali's point, you look at it, what Daboll's done, especially with like Mike Kafka, they brought in a system that like, okay, we know we've evaluated, or at least we've looked at like, all right, so what does Danny do good? What does Danny not do good? We know he's a mobile guy. He does got a big arm, so he can throw if he needs to be, but it's kind of like really suiting it to your personnel. So like we know with Danny, he's better when he's rolling out the pocket, a lot of RPOs, play action boots, things of that nature. So we know that he's good on that one. And I think it really comes down to your personnel. So like, for example, if we go back to LA, I think more than the system, and we saw the development in Justin Herbert. Now you get a quarterback coach in there like Pep Hamilton, who's able to groom Justin Herbert, get him through there. Because I think it especially like people, I want to say honestly though, because I'm not big on him, but like to his credit, I think it was a big adjustment period because Justin Herbert comes from Oregon, being set up in the shotgun consistently, as opposed to like you come into the league, be going into I formation, signal right up under center for snaps, and you get a guy like Pep Hamilton in there who's able to groom Justin Herbert. We've seen him do it with Andrew Luck, guys like that. I think it kind of falls in there, but similar to that, I think it really comes down with your system. And I think as Ali mentioned, we saw that first year of Trevor Lawrence, you're making that dive. And I think, we're seeing that Trevor Lawrence, well, he's coming out of that period now being with Doug Peterson, but like we're seeing it now with, Justin Fields, those kids that are coming from, your Clemsons, your Ohio States stuff, always playing in shotgun, never really under center. And then you're playing in these divisions that like, if we're being honest, besides maybe one or two games out the year, you're playing marginal talent that's not going to be in the league with you. It's a difference between, like they say, being college open and being, NFL open, versus having 2 yards of separation on a guy as opposed to, having to throw him open, when you get in the league. So I think it's definitely an adjustment period. And Like Ali said, you're asking these guys to come in on day one, but you think about it, a lot of these dudes is like, you almost have to think about it as an event, like a business decision. Like, yo, do I need to play up to the standard, like to where I get drafted high? Because, the higher you get drafted, more likely the worst situation that you're going to go into with no help, no line there to help you. So you got to kind of thinking in the air, like, and I think we're seeing both sides of the coin there. They're starting to build with Justin Herbert. So we'll see. But then you look on the other side of things, Justin Fields is just trying to survive at this point. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's kind of both sides. But like Grayson, what do you really think about it?
I mean, the first thing I really look at in a quarterback is, are you capable of extending a play?
Okay.
Like when the pocket collapses, are you capable of not going down? Or can you escape the pocket and let your receivers come back to you? I mean, I don't know.
It sounds like you like Heineke.
I mean, I like Heineke as a backup quarterback. I really do. I still don't think he has the arm strength. Kind of like going back to the game. Like, if a quarterback with an NFL caliber arm makes that throw to Terry McLaurin doesn't even have to fight for the ball. He kept his head in the back of the end zone. If somebody with an NFL caliber arm makes that throw. So I think the two traits I look for in a quarterback is the ability to extend plays and somebody that can make every throw that an offensive coordinator draws up, which is why Mahomes is one of the best and Josh Allen is one of the best.
But I mean, I look at it too, and like I don't necessarily like disagree with you, but I do think I think if you get the right system, the right, coaches behind him, a guy with, because like, for example, you get a right system behind Jimmy Garoppolo. I think at best we could probably say he's like, what, maybe a B quarterback. Like, it's not any incredible, like, super arm talent, nothing accurate.
With that defense and that run game that Shanahan can produce, just like we talked about with Pete Carroll. All you need is a game manager to make a couple of good throws, not turn over the ball, and grind it out when we need to grind it out.
Well, with Jimmy Garoppolo, like in that case, you're looking at an offensive goal and Kyle Shanahan. Like when you have that kind of genius calling the offense, like that you don't need a Patrick Mahomes kind of quarterback to make you guys successful. Like let's look at it. Let's look at it this way. Like, if Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't under Kyle Shanahan, if he was like New York Jets, do you think he would be competing for the AFC Championship?
I do.
You do?
At this point, I do. I think
he makes better decisions than Zach Wilson does.
I think Joe Flacco makes better decisions than Zach Wilson does.
I mean, I'm not saying this is not like he's better, but do you think Garoppolo's as successful out of the Kyle Shanahan system?
Yeah, because we saw him be successful in Belichick's system, and that's completely different. You know what I'm saying? Those are two different offenses. They're still make him a game manager for sure, but they're still two different offenses.
Yeah, and like when I pose the question, I mean that to say like I don't want Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen to be the standard. Like, for instance, as good as the Bills are doing, like in the pieces that they're acquiring, throwing the ball 50 times a game, like that's not going to be especially when you get into these, that's not going to be sustainable. Like at the end of the day, the same way like we saw like with the Bucks win the Super Bowl, you're going to have a running game, get that going, switch it up there. You're going to have some kind of formula. Pat Mahomes, I mean, it's a unicorn. It's like, trying to find the next Aaron Rodgers. And I think that's where a lot of teams get caught up. Like they assume like you get the franchise quarterback or, that's the one piece away, from making everything good. No, you can win. I think you can be successful with the game manager. Maybe you don't win the Super Bowl every year, but you can at least get consistent, like as far as placement. Like, okay, the 49ers haven't won the Super Bowl, but like they've been in the Super Bowl. They've been in multiple NFC championships with Jimmy Garoppolo.
The GOAT won how many Super Bowls? And he's a game manager. He's a glorified game manager. No, you can't tell me otherwise. Yes, exactly. He's a genius, a well-prepared quarterback. But at the end of the day, he is a game manager.
Yeah, and I think people get kind of caught up like thinking that's like a bad connotation to have for whatever reason. But like if you're making, I'd rather you take, you throw 200 yards and a touchdown, you make the right plays, those keying on the third downs and such, like the right plays that you need rather than, you throw the ball 50 times and throw 4 picks, you know what I'm saying? And you end up losing the game there. So I think you kind of got to pick your poison. But like, if we're being honest, we go around and like, I was looking at it, let's look into like, the next upcoming draft, a lot of quarterbacks coming out. If you're looking around the league, I mean, how many teams can we really say like, gonna be up in the quarterback market? Like, if we.
Well, we are for sure.
So Texans, I could see them being in the market for a quarterback.
All right, the Texans.
Panthers for sure.
Panthers for sure.
Falcons
could be, I still think I don't think they pull a trigger this season.
Yeah, because they see Desmond Ritter.
You got Desmond Ritter sitting right there. So you might give yourself get your weapon or a defensive player.
I completely forgot about Ritter.
So, Lions.
Colts.
Yeah.
Colts, Lions.
I think if I'm being honest, like I think Detroit should get back in that market.
Yeah,
I like what Jared Goff has done in his career.
Jared Goff stinks.
Look, man, that Detroit team just can't get over the hump, and then the injuries on top of that.
They're not get over the hump. It's Detroit.
They're within a touchdown every game.
It doesn't matter. Detroit is built to stink. Like everything in Detroit stinks. The water's not good. Like
they killed Megatron's career. They killed Stafford's career. They killed Peyton's career.
I have a personal vendetta against Detroit Lions, so I don't care.
Here's one for you. Is it one and done? Like
one and done?
Do the Steelers need to get back in the quarterback market, or do you think?
No, I think Kenny Pickett gets another year or two. Yeah, I don't think he's that great though.
Yeah, I think he gets another year.
All these quarterbacks now coming out of college, they all play for like a total of 15 games. They're transferring from one school to the next school, so they're playing with multiple systems.
Because we're looking at, like for instance, what we're looking at this upcoming year. Will Fryer, Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud. We're gonna look at Hendon Hooker probably coming out. Caleb Williams is gonna come out. Rattler. Yeah. Anyway.
The Kentucky guy.
Will Evans. Will Evans. That's what I meant. Will Evans. The kid from Florida. 15.
I
think I can't think of what his name is. Henderson or something like that. He'll be coming out.
There's a bunch of good quarterbacks, and there's going to be at least 6 taken in the first round this year.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Broncos. Are you guys going after one?
No, they can't do it, dude.
And they gave up that capital for us.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Saints are going to need a quarterback.
What about the Seahawks?
I don't know, man. I don't think you do.
I don't think you do either. I think you get some weapons.
Yeah, I think you ride out with Gino. Go ahead and build out the rest of that team.
Yeah, maybe draft one in the second or third that you like. Develop the guy behind Gino, and I think that's a solid play. Yeah. Otherwise, crazy move you could make if you're not really satisfied with Geno and you want to take a younger quarterback? What's up, Jordan Love? What's up? What you got?
I think at the end of the year, the Jets could be back on the market too.
Interesting take.
I think the Jets will be back on the market.
Maybe he should just go back to banging his mom's friends.
I agree with you, Keith, because I watched some of that Jets games. Those picks in that last game were terrible.
Just throws it up, and then like you see him in the press conference, and he's just like cocky about it, like super arrogant about it. I'm like, bro, like, yo, the Jets have not won crap, bro. You're about to mess this up for them. Like, what is going on with you, man? Like, I think they'll be back. They're going to be back in the market. I don't think we go in the market, man. I like my guy, man. I'm rolling with my guy.
I like
Keep
Danny
him.
Dimes. He's the fact that he's averaging 60 yards rushing a game.
Yeah, with like
solid numbers.
Yeah, he's like bro, he's like playing good with Amazon workers at receiver. Like, come on now.
He's got Clifford Franklin from the replacements. Can't catch nothing.
I think you guys need to get some receivers that can actually be available to play football games.
That might be a thought.
If we tear down MetLife Stadium, I'm cool with that. I'm very much cool with that. We get some receivers. It's gonna be interesting, man. But yeah, that's because I definitely think, especially just being the first installment, I definitely would like to, dive, take more time out to dive into the Washington situation. I definitely want to see me and Grayson can run, especially with like what's going on with the college ball. It's about to be another big weekend. This one, big SEC matchup coming up this weekend. College football playoff rankings, they just came out. So it's a whole lot of stuff going on there. That was pretty much the last question of the day here. As we intro out of here, any last takes that you guys have?
Vikings.
Okay.
I don't want to say it. I don't want Captain Kirk in a Super Bowl, but I think it's going to be them and the Eagles in the NFC Championship game, and he might go to a Super Bowl.
I'm not ready to make any predictions yet.
That's because you're going to be super upset because they screwed up so long ago not paying the man.
True, but there's still a lot of football left. Like, let's at least get to week 12 or thought. And let's at least get to Thanksgiving before we make any predictions.
Grayson, you got any other takes?
Not at the moment.
Keith, what about you?
6-2, keep pushing through.
Keep pushing through.
Yeah, we was 6-1, get the job done. Now we 6-2, keep pushing through. My team is on a bye week. So my heart, no signs of a heart attack this weekend. So like I'm cool with that.
I might have one.
You guys before we wrap up, you guys want to go through our preview for next week and make our game calls?
Yeah, I'll let you guys make the game call since I don't have one.
So Texans, Eagles, that's easy. Eagles.
I think Eagles, and I think they even cover the spread. I think the spread is like, I'm actually gonna bring up the sportstalk right now. I think the spread is 14. I think they cover that easily.
Falcons, Chargers. I'm taking the Falcons.
Yeah, take the Falcons.
It's in Atlanta, so that's easy money. Dolphins at Bears.
Dolphins.
That D line's about to eat. Bradley Chubb's gonna.
I'm gonna say another prayer for Justin.
Panthers at Bengals.
Bengals.
That's PJ Walker's still playing quarterback for the Panthers.
You know what? I'm taking the Panthers.
You think PJ? You think okay?
I'm taking the Panthers.
Okay. Lions or Packers at Lions.
I'm taking the Lions.
Lions.
Wow, I'm taking the Packers just because it's Aaron Rodgers versus the Lions. Raiders at Jaguars. I'm taking Jaguars.
Yep.
Jaguars.
Jaguars across the board. Colts at Patriots. This is going to be a doo-doo game.
Pats.
Pats for sure.
Hopefully we get to see Bailey Zappi.
It's the same quarterback, man. Bills at Jets.
Ooh, I like that game.
I like that game too. I'm taking the Bills just because Zach Wilson, the way he looked the last game, the Bills aren't going to make it much easier.
Yeah, I'm going to take Bills. God dang it.
I'm taking Bills.
All right. Grayson, Vikings at Commanders.
Ooh.
I think it's going to be a close game, but I'm not going to be a fanboy. I think the Vikings win, but I do think it's going to be a game going into the fourth quarter. I'll tell you that.
I think if Chase was there, there's a better chance of it being a closer game. I think it gets out of hand going into the third quarter. Vikings win. Seahawks at Cardinals.
Seahawks.
I'm going to Seahawks.
For sure. I mean, I'm about to get on Call of Duty, try to hopefully play Kyler a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's going to be busy. He's putting in his work.
I don't trust Kyler, and I don't trust Claire.
Rams at Bucks.
I'm gonna go Rams.
I'm gonna
Rams
go
as well.
I'm going Rams as well.
Look, Tom is hurting. Maybe by the end of the season he gets it together. I don't know, or maybe he just looks like a drunk the rest of the way. And
alimony's too high.
Alimony's too much, dude. He should have walked. That man should have just walked off into the sunset, ended his career like the greatest of all greats, and
Shaq Barrett is out for the year now.
Oh
wow.
Goodness.
Yeah, it's over for them. Go Rams. And I mean, it ain't like the Rams is much better, but still we'll
Titans
go
at Chiefs for Sunday night football.
Yeah, come on now.
So,
Arrowhead.
It's gonna get too loud. I mean, the Titans are gonna try to run the ball down their throat, but it's gonna be a good preview of a playoff game potentially. And for our viewers, or our hopeful viewers, we'll potentially be doing a live cast of this Sunday night game. So we'll drop the links and let everybody know how to catch us talking shit, watching a good game. And then for Monday night, Ravens at Saints.
Baltimore.
I'm actually going Saints.
That's wild, but Grayson does like to throw in a random team to win every week.
Yeah, I guess mine was the Panthers.
That's fair. And then who do we have on the bye week? Browns, your Giants, Steelers who need it, Broncos who need it, Cowboys and 49ers.
Cowboys are on a bye?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's gonna be a decent week. We'll see how it all plays out and review it next week and how we did. But other than that, I think it's been a pretty good first episode. Can't wait till the next one, guys.
Yeah.
Signing off.
Yeah. See you guys.
All
right. We'll sign off for the night. Appreciate you guys liking, following, watching. Keep on the lookout for
rate, review, and subscribe.
Yup.
Yeah, like and subscribe.
All right, we'll catch y'all later.
All right.